This is TK, the gentleman gardener. This week, we're going to do a follow-up with one of our friends that we talked about a couple weeks ago, the Gypsy peppers, and how that plant is doing in the deep water culture in the Coca-Cola 2-liter bottle. But we're really going to cover two distinct items of hydroponics and really gardening in general that are sometimes scary. One, good. In hydroponics, you want to see lots of root growth. And in 2 weeks, you're going to see lots of root growth. We're going to show that in a second in that fine Gypsy pepper plant that we had before. The other thing, which is a little scary for a lot of gardeners to think about, is topping. And topping is really pruning or trimming off at the top. Usually topping, we talk about when we talk about pepper plants, but we're trimming off the top. And what we're doing there is giving the whole plant a chance to flourish by taking off some of those top outer layers. And it's always hard to think about, gosh, I'm gonna have to prune something that I worked so hard to get to grow. Am I gonna kill it? And the answer is no, you'll actually make it grow stronger. So let's jump right in and talk about it. A couple weeks ago, if you remember, you got to hear me sing. And well, what's wrong with me singing? So have a Coke and a smile. Well, we're gonna come back and now we're talking about not Coca-Cola, and worry not, they're not sponsoring the gentleman gardener here. We're actually gonna talk about the good and the bad of this pepper plant and how it's been doing for the last couple weeks. Mostly it's a good story. And we're going to talk about all of the goodness that's happening here. But we're also going to do one of those scary things for many gardeners, and it's called topping. But let's start with the candy. Let's start with the hydroponic candy that we love as a hydroponic gardener. So I'm going to take it out. Look at our root growth. You'll notice I'm going to put a link in the description below, but I'm going to bring this nice and close for you. Lots of root growth here is what we've had. And the plant is flourishing. Pepper plants love it. Hydroponics are a great way to do peppers. And if you do this right, this plant's gonna last me for years if we treat it right. And so love that growth. You'll love to see all of that. You'll notice that the solution is below, so you've got air. Once again, hydroponics is a tricky thing because people think of hydroponics, you hear hydro, you think water, you think it's the liquid solution that's doing most of the growing. It's actually the air level between the two, and that's key when you do this, is make sure you're giving your plant enough air, your roots are enough air. You don't want your roots just soaking in the solution. So that's the candy. That's the sexiness, all right? Now we're gonna do something that's scary, and it's called topping. So if you'll notice, once again, I'm gonna bring this in for you. Bring it nice and close. You'll notice that this plant has got plenty of growth on the top now. What we want out of our pepper plant is we want a situation where we've got a bush type plant, not a tree. We want the main stem to be thicker. We want more growth out, and the only way to do that is to prune. In a pepper's case, we're going to call it topping. So once again, put the roots back in. We're just going to use the have a Coke and a smile as our base, so we don't have to hold it. Now, how much do you trim? How much do you take off? So I actually let this one go a little too far. I was waiting to do this video, and I let it go too far. So really what you want to do is you want to take off anywhere that there's a Y. When you look and see, I'm going to bring this in nice and close. If you look and see, you see how that stem right there is a Y? Everything that's a Y, you want to start taking off there. And once again, I probably let this go a little too long, so I'm going to take off most of this top section. And you'll see down here, if you look in really closely, we've already got some buds going right there. Those are going to grow out over the next few weeks as we give them more chance to get some of that energy, to get some of that sunlight that we give them. So I'm going to go ahead and top this off and see what it looks like. Gonna be brave. I know it's scary for any gardener. Hey, you're cutting off growth. The plant's doing so well. Why are you cutting it off? Well, that's how you make a long-term plant. That's how you make a long-term plant work. Now, you have to be cautious because you don't want to take off everything, right? So I'm gonna probably get to this point right here today. Let's take in, we're gonna do our look. Now, if you'll notice, I took off a significant amount. So got big chunks here that I've taken off, 3 big stems that I took off at the top. So, and now we've topped it. You can get a good look there. Get yourself seeing the top of that plant. So now we've got a plant that's gonna sit sort of more look like that. And which is gonna be fine. And now we're gonna give that a chance to bush out, get thicker in their stems, and be a nice long-term multi-year plant, multi-season plant. So we'll check in on this again in a couple weeks. I'll give you an update and see how it's going. Hey, thanks for coming today. As always, it was wonderful to share some of the journey on hydroponics. I hope you learned a little bit about root growth and how important that is, and also about topping and pruning and how, even though it can be scary, it can be one of the most beneficial things you can do to any plant you're growing. So go out there, grow something you can eat, and have a great time.